Hi everybody, we are Erica and Teresa at apartment B, and this is Creature. And today we wanted to do a quick video just to talk to you guys a little bit about a couple of the big steps we've taken to get to along the way toward traveling full-time in our camper.
And how we kind of came to this point to be able to do it as well.
Which we're still on the way.
And like we've said before, we've wanted to do it for a long time and never really thought we could. And then we kind of planned to do it, and then stuff came into the mix and kind of seemed like we couldn't do it until we researched it a little more. Yeah.
So first thing, Eric and I both had jobs working for, at a regular
kind of brick and mortar
office company. You had to go in to have a commute every day, and the first thing was,
still do right now.
Yeah, Eric still does. But the first thing was I had more skills that would maybe transfer more into a remote position. So I work in insurance, so I started looking for a remote job. I found a remote job actually pretty quickly, so I work full-time from home. And Eric still works at a company. He goes every day. Actually, he works nights right now because of the baby. So
until we go to travel in September.
Until we hit the road. When we hit the road, he's going to be a
full-time stay-at-home daddy.
A house husband. A camper husband. So anyway, so I got the remote job. Started working remotely. We started getting really into the details of hitting the road. At the time, we still had our house. We had a beautiful home in Western New York. One day, we had to switch gears a little bit because I became pregnant. So we started thinking, okay, well now we're going to, totally switch gears and do the family life. And
thought RVing wouldn't be a possibility with a child. We didn't think that would work at all.
Years. Yeah, we thought that was off the table for a good 18 years. But then Eric, while he was adjusting to the dad life,
basically trying to sleep during the day a little bit with an infant and a newborn at first, obviously.
Yeah, so as Eric would be giving Blythe naps, baby Blythe would take a nap, and Eric would sit on YouTube watching videos, kind of looking at YouTube channels of other people who are doing this, who are traveling full-time. And he's kind of thinking, maybe we could do it, but would it work? So for a long time we kept just dreaming about it again. So we went back to dreaming about it.
Until we really got into a couple YouTube channels that really kind of inspired us to do this. The first one we really started watching was Keep Your Daydream. Mm-hmm. Their videos were just amazing. I mean, it was like watching a reality TV show almost. It was, he says he's never done video before and everything else, but he's kind of got the eye for it. He does a really good job with the videos.
Good quality.
And seeing them, and seeing them travel and everything else.
So you feel like you're watching a TV show. So we started getting kind of roped into that, thinking, well, this is fun, but then realizing these people do it. They have a full family. They do it. And
they had 3 teenagers and 2 adults living in a camper about this, actually the same layout that we have, and about the same size that we have now. And it was kind of like, well, if they can do it with a full family, why can't we do it with a little one? And we were like, well, it's still traveling with an infant would be a lot more different than.
Plus, we were just adjusting to having a baby at the time. Like, it was hard to even think about anything else because your whole life is already very different. So we just kind of put it aside. And then one day we were watching Less Drunk, More Journey together. And I said, Eric, we can do this. They do this with a toddler.
And they started off doing full-time RVing with a 1.5-year-old, which is
about how old Blythe will be.
What we're going to be doing. So it really inspired us to really think about it again. Can we do it with, a small child? And it's kind of neat because you've kind of seen their little girl Hensley grow up over the past couple years, because I like binge watched their Keep Your Daydream and Less Drunk, More Journey. I like completely binge watched them both in like a week.
And we were inspired by how much she learns hands-on from this lifestyle. And Eric has a teaching background, so I started talking him into the fact that he could do that with our daughter and teach her hands-on. And there's so much for her to learn out there. So
it's one thing learning it from a history book. It's another actually
going
being
to the
there
museums and seeing the
and
history.
seeing everything.
Yeah, so we started talking about it again very seriously, and I already had the remote job, so we decided, okay, let's do this again. So we started talking about selling our house, because that was the next big step that we.
Well, we bought the camper first.
We did. We bought
kind
our
of
camper.
like we might do it, we might not do it, but we'd at least try doing a lot of camping
and see if we could, get used to that. But then
right after we bought it, we just threw in the towel and said we're gonna do it.
So we decided we're gonna sell the house. Eric wanted to give it a year of giving himself time to renovate the house, do things he thought needed to be done to sell the house. But the market where we live is so so great that people's houses are selling so quickly, which didn't ever seem to used to happen where we are in New York.
It's really inflated right now, and pretty much the market. We're in kind of the Rochester area, and the market in Rochester has been very stagnant for like 20 years.
Just stable. I mean, it's stable. So, and of course, we're not real estate agents, so we don't know a ton about this. But we sold our house in Virginia years ago, and that did not go well for us. So we didn't want to wait a year and then find that the market had crashed. You just never know. So I had.
All right, sorry guys, the battery died. Had to change the battery.
Okay,
so we decided to sell our house. We sold it very quick, and it was, again, the market's very inflated. So
we sold it a year ahead of time. Instead, we sold it now instead of waiting a year.
Instead of taking the risk, if we waited a year, it could go up, but it also could tank as well.
So part of that process was talking Eric's parents into letting us driveway surf, whatever, until we hit the road. So that's where we are right now. We sold the house, but in the process of selling the house, we had to totally downsize, which we already knew we were going to do to move into the camper. So we'll show you some pictures of what that looked like for us.
We had 2 garage sales this summer just to sell everything.
2 huge garage sales where you almost literally gave away the stuff at the end of the day, just to get rid of it. So everybody has different processes of what downsizing is for them, but we just knew what was important to us and what we wanted to keep. We thought we knew, so we kept what we felt was important and sold or gave away, donated all the rest, which was probably 90% of our stuff. We still have a little bit of stuff probably to downsize again, but basically everything we own is now in the camper or in the house we are staying at a little bit right now, like our clothes. So we sold, everything basically.
Furniture,
clothes, our kayak, tools, all of our furniture. So
I did keep a lot of tools.
Yeah, we kept
what I couldn't quite part
we'll
with.
need. Yeah. So but basically that was probably the biggest step we've had to take so far. And now we are, we've talked about where we're staying for the next 8 months while we plan, and then we'll basically start hitting the road. Right?
Yeah. Coming up soon, we're also going to be doing a tour of the camper. We kind of forgot a few details on the last video, which brought us to this video. And we're going to do a tour of the camper and talk about some things about the camper and why we chose this camper specifically. And
we'll try and take some adventures and actually not be sitting still in some of our later videos, so you guys can see what we've...
So it's not just the two heads talking.
So, okay, well, thanks for watching, and hopefully some people out there are doing the same thing in the same process and watching this video and can make some comments on what they've done to get to this point too. Any pieces of advice you have for the next steps we have. We'd love to see your comments about that, and like the video if you enjoyed this, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.
See you next time.